our relationships. Hi, Bianca, there you
Hi,
are.
love.
So I was just saying that we're going to talk about the rose as we usually do, and that we decided to focus tonight's topic around the rose in relationships and how it has affected our relationships or influenced them, how it holds our relationships. I think it's something that a lot of people are interested in, so we can share some of our experiences and maybe some of
Beautiful.
our practices as well.
Yes. Yay. So good to see you here. And thank you to everyone who is tuning into this conversation. Yeah, it's always such a pleasure to do this together. We started this almost 4 or 5 months ago
Yes,
after meeting at the Heart of the Rose Festival in the UK last September. And we just felt a deep calling that the rose wanted a space to express herself. And so we decided that so much beautiful information comes through us when we're just in conversation.
absolutely.
So to have these Instagram lives as a place, as a platform to exchange and cover different topics that the rose has impacted our own lives, or how we use the rose as a tool, as a guide. And yeah, the rose consciousness is definitely awakening on our planet very rapidly. And when I say rose consciousness, so much of that also means like this consciousness of the heart, of leading from a place of love and compassion. And so the rose can be an amazing tool. There's a reason why it's becoming present in many people's lives, because it's really a consciousness in itself that is awakening within
It
everyone. So
is, and it is needed. It brings healing, it brings love, it brings unity, and it brings us together. It allows us to be our unique self and respect other people's unique self and really cherish that as a treasure of life, of diversity, of abundance. So it is a
mm,
teaching for our times, definitely.
mm, phew,
Shall we tune in before we start our
mhm,
conversation?
for sure.
Let's all, for the people who've joined, hello, good evening. Let's all just take a moment, just a minute to tune in. Maybe we can just take a deep breath, close our eyes,
Mm,
reconnect to the heart space, the temple of the rose, one of the temples of the rose. And just breathe into the heart space, breathe into the heart of the rose. And we can call in some support, some guardians, some guides, and some muses to inspire our conversation tonight on divine unity.
mm,
I'd like to call into this space the presence of Anna and Joachim, Isis and Osiris, Mary Magdalene and Yeshua, Mary and Joseph. May they come through us and may they guide us on a path of divine unity within and without. May they nourish and seed the rose of the heart with a deep desire to live in unity and live in love in this lifetime. And just feel that with them present, the rose of the heart starts to open more and more. It's blossoming, its petals are opening. And just feel and sense that rose fully opening, fully blossoming until your whole heart chakra is pushed open by the petals of the rose, and the light of your heart can shine out into the space around you. We can take a deep breath and open our eyes and connect from this field of the heart,
mm,
from this essence and this light and this perfume that is different for each of us because we're all unique. Welcome everyone in this space. So tonight's topic, divine love, divine unity, the rose in relationships.
Mm. Thank you, love.
Thank you.
Continue.
So maybe we can start a little bit by um, sharing, maybe from our personal perspectives, how the rose has influenced our relationships. And we're not only talking about intimate relationships, but also about our friendships, our family, the people that surround us. Um, I don't know how you feel, but for me, the rose, it is it is a very soft and gentle teacher, but in a way, it doesn't leave us with a choice either, in the sense that we have to be our authentic selves. Like the only way for it to blossom within is for us to be truthful and to really be who we are and to really
Mm.
shine our light into this world. So I guess that one of the first things that I have felt with deepening the energy of the rose and deepening the presence of the rose is that I've started attracting a lot more like-minded people into my life, or a lot more people who are on the same frequency or on similar frequencies. That because my source frequency has been freed basically and is still being freed more and more by the presence and the energy of the rose, I feel that I'm connecting to and attracting more and more people that really resonate with my frequency, and with who I am deep within, with my true self, with my soul self, and no longer with maybe an image that I could have projected in the past. So I guess that's a first, for me, real effect and very noticeable effect of the presence of the rose is a deepening of relationships,
Mm.
is more authentic connections, and more nourishing relationships. Many people in my life that are really deeply nourishing my soul and my spirit.
Mm. Mm. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
That's so beautiful. And I would say that the just like we use the word generous in previous episodes, but again, this relationship and generosity and abundance and sharing, that feels kind of what the rose attracts in once we really commit to this or open ourselves to the rose and her medicine. It's just all this energy of generosity and abundance, and so the people in our field are just similar people who lift each other up and just want each other to shine, knowing fully that we can have it all, but we can't do it all. We're here to do it together. Each one of us has a very unique place to play in this role, and I think that's something that the rose ignites, is this unique purpose and place in this constellation that we live in. And so when we are aware of that, we also recognize that the person in front of you is also part of that constellation, and it's equally as important. So very humbling, actually. It's very humbling in relationship. I think that's so beautiful, deeply humbling, and then equally, I would say, empowering.
Mm.
Because when we connect to that frequency of this unique reason why, purpose of being here, I think, and that divinity, that spark of the divine that has chosen to be here, when we connect to that, then that's so much power, so much empowerment. I know one of the strongest experiences I had with the rose once was deeply empowering. It was one with grandmother again, and it was just, she just realigned me in a way where I just connected more deeply to my authenticity, my truth, and my source frequency, my signal just shifted, completely shifted into this knowing, this faith, this trust in who I am, what I am, my service. And in relationship to relationships, I am in a partnership with my beloved for 9 years, over 9 years now. And I would say that when the rose came in, the frequency, my source frequency shifted, and it gave him permission to serve me and to honor me in this new way. Like, I was completely changed, and it was felt. I was a new being. And so the way he showed up for me was from, for example, princess to queen, or whatever analogy you want to use, but it was felt, and it was honored, and it was served. And at the same time, it also gave him permission for his field to expand, open, and to meet mine. And I mean, his field expands open in all the different, self-development spiritual tools he uses, and it elevates me simultaneously. But for example, this moment with the rose that really deeply shifted my signal, then created a beautiful space and opening for his signal to uplift as well. There was that permission, there was that humbleness as well. So it's really like such a yin and yang. The rose is such a yin and yang. It's getting like more and more clear for me. We were just speaking briefly before this chat, and I was like, oh, like I've associated the rose so much to the divine feminine for so long. And it really is. It is her in her essence, but it also is the divine masculine in his essence, like deep essence. So, yeah, I think that will transition into a talk about like our inner relationship with our own inner divine feminine and masculine, which I'm happy to open up. But maybe you want to just continue sharing on like very tangible relationship, friendship, before we go into that.
Well, I and thank you for sharing that. That was really beautiful. And I think it's important that you share it, because we're a little bit lost in this world, relationship-wise. We don't really know how to go into relationships anymore, or a lot of people are confused. I think it's simpler than we think it is. And when we have examples to show us, like you two, who have a beautiful, supportive relationship, just to see it, to be able to witness it, and to share space and be in a field with people who are in a caring and loving relationship, opens the possibility for other people as well. And I think that's an important thing. So I want to honor that you're bringing that into the world, the both of you. And I do feel it's like that. I feel that's how a supportive relationship is supposed to be. Like one opens and expands, and the other opens and expands because of that. So you mutually lift each other up all the time, and you help each other expand. And I think it's a beautiful journey to have together. It also means that it requires real commitment and real devotion, not only to each other, but also to the path that you're on, to your own individual path and your own individual growth. And that's something that I've really learned by walking with the rose and working with the rose. On the one hand, as you expressed, it just puts you in this space of humility, and there is a real space of unconditional love that opens. So I do feel that there's a real capacity for non-judgment that comes with the energy of the rose. You're not judging people as to where they are in their journey, or even what their behavior might be. There's a real compassion for people's journey, and for their hardships and what they're going through, and a capacity to hold a lot of it as well. But then on the other side, I do feel there's a definite masculine energy to the rose as well. And for me, this energy shows up as the energy of the sword. And this energy has led me in the past to also step out of certain relationships, out of self-love, to allow myself to continue to expand. And also for me, the rose is very connected to Mary and Mary Magdalene and their teachings. So very often they come through as well when I connect to the rose. And whenever something is too much out of balance, at a certain point, either of them will step in and will come and will say, this is enough. Now the rose becomes a sword, and you cut yourself away from the situation with compassion and softness and kindness, and without judging the other person in the relationship that maybe can't expand any further, or for diverse reasons. We all have our reasons why at certain hurdles it's more difficult for us. But yeah, balance is really important. So if we do engage in a relationship, in a loving relationship, in an intimate partnership, then the balance is important. It's essential. You can't stay on this path and be in an imbalanced relationship. That's really what I feel. That's what I've experienced. And it's what I see around me as well, for men as well as for women. As soon as we start to activate this energy, we need to both commit to a path of personal growth and learning. And this path can be different, but there needs to be a commitment to this.
Oh, thank you. That's so beautiful. It's taking me to a memory, actually, of another moment when the rose, when she appeared very strong to me, and it was at the moment where I was really at a threshold moment of being in divine partnership. I think we were at that point maybe 5 or 6 years, deeply in love, and then there was a part of my soul that was yearning to express herself more, and somehow I had the belief that being in partnership would not have space for that. And I truly had that belief to the point where I even energetically felt I needed to break the relationship. And then the rose, she was with me through that whole journey. And then she showed up, and in some miraculous way, it dawned on me that they can coexist. Being in this loving relationship and being truly in the line of our light can coexist, and that really shifted so much. And maybe I don't know why I'm sharing that. Maybe it's true for other people as well, that maybe we feel in this relationship we can't fully be in our light. And I think maybe there's cases where that's true, but I think in many cases that's just some story,
yes,
which I really had playing very loudly in my mind. And actually that story only broke when I chose my heart and my path. And as soon as I made that decision, I had this like awakening moment that they can coexist, but I had to somehow go through some sort of initiation to choose me. And that was just like a really big moment in my life that I was not anticipating to share here, but it was big. And I think that's part of the rose is our purpose, is our soul, is our path. And she's going to come in there with the sword that she is, and she's going to come there with the devotion, first and foremost, to ourselves.
yes,
Number one, first and foremost to ourselves, and then partnership, and then the greater community, but it's like we have to consciously commit to I don't know if the word propagating is the right word, but propagating this self before anything else. And so that was a huge teaching for me. And now I'm just blessed to be in union, and we do a lot of work together, but we do a lot of work apart, and it just cross-pollinates so beautifully, and just very supportive for both. And I really believe that that's so. There's a beautiful quote from Khalil Gibran from his what is the book of all the poems, The Prophet, on love. And I love it so much. It's like you could a relationship could never stand like if someone's clinging on to the other person's pillar. We both have to be find our foundation in ourselves, in our purpose, in our hearts, and let the light come through us, and then in that merge and dance together and bring, not sucking from the other person, but both bring in something so beautiful. And that comes back to that generosity and that abundance that is really like one of the biggest teachings of the rose. And that's what I think healthy relationship, even friendship, like we could do many episodes on just our friendship, and how abundant and generous it has been just through truly dancing both as pillars of the rose. So anyways, pass that to you.
Thank you. And I think that's so important to share, because there's a lot of people that when they have this big awakening or this big epiphany on the spiritual journey, it feels like they have to change everything. And the first thing they will want to change is the partner that they're with. And sometimes, like you said, it is justified because sometimes they are with a partner that won't accept their expansion or won't support their expansion. But so many times when people say this to me, I ask them, have you actually shared with your partner what you're experiencing? And have you actually invited them into your experience and shared everything that is happening within you and that where you want to go? Well, no. I said, well, the least you can do is give this person a chance and just open. And I feel the uh, that is the teaching of the rose as well. It is opening and it is sharing ourselves without fear, without holding back, without prejudice as well, without prejudice and just assuming, okay, this person won't understand me or won't be able to hold what this is that I'm experiencing. It's really to be able to share with everyone. And I feel that this is a theme that I've experienced in my family as well, where my younger self, like 15 years ago, wouldn't share a lot of the things that I experience, a lot of the things that I feel, because I judged them and I thought they won't be able to understand this, they won't be able to accept this. And actually, the rose has helped me to just share it as it is and not hide anymore. And it is very well received when it's coming from a place of love and not from a place where you're trying to convince the other person or trying to school the other person, but just an authentic sharing of this is what's true for me, this is what's real for me, and this is what lives within me in my heart. It is so well received on the other side as well. And I think that's love is such a big part of this path and such a big part of this teaching and this energy. And actually, I reflected 2 days ago, knowing that we were going to talk about this topic, and I was like, okay, well, what is it then that is essential in a relationship where you honor the spirit of the rose, you honor the energy of the rose. And I feel for me it's the capacity to be a lover. And what I mean by that is to be a lover of life and the divine, is to really truly love life. I feel that a person who loves life and who loves to experience life, who loves people, who loves nature, who loves living beings, is a person who has awakened the heart. And a person who has activated the rose or really met the rose, for me, is a person who has awakened the heart. And of course, there are moments in time where we'll have a harder time to really be in love with life because we've met with some experience. But when there's this, at least this desire to love and this commitment to love, then I think really this kind of partnership is possible. And actually, it's what I look for in friends as well. And our relationship is an example, our friendship. When I saw you, I saw a light in your eyes, and I thought this person is alive. And to me, this is because you love life and you love sharing and you're passionate about what you do. And I think passion is another sign of someone who's alive and someone who's a lover.
Thank you. It's so beautiful and it's so true. All of it, you know. I mean, the greatest gift in life is to find joy in it, right? And what's the point otherwise? So,
Absolutely.
wow, thank you. And it makes me think like when we're maybe there's a thread here, but if we are in devotion to life, then I feel like life responds and allows us to receive that joy. You know, it's like this beautiful relationship we have with life. Like when we say our prayers, when we offer to the land, to the earth, to our life, to our families, then we receive, I feel, life from from the universe itself. So like this practice of gratitude is not just a trend in spiritual realms. It's such a true and very real energetic exchange. It's a communion with Earth and with the universe. And when we say thanks, we receive joy in our life. You know, I really feel that that's so beautiful. And when we talk about devotion to Earth, devotion to self, and devotion to our partner, and devotion to our relationships, it makes me think I want to throw in this like beautiful line that's been in me and wanting to share it. And something, I think someone told me this once, but it moved me so deeply about relationships. And they told me, like, when you can kneel down and kiss the feet of your beloved, then really something magical is born from that. And it really moved me, because I'm like, wow, it's just this, like we were talking about before, this deepest devotion, this deepest humbleness and vulnerability. So there's that tenderness, the softness of the petals of the rose that needs to exist for this exchange in male and masculine and female. But then there's also this part of inspiring each other and being in our power, so we can uplift each other, so we can have joy. So when we have joy in life and we're creating from passion, from love, we're exchanging this upward motion of, I would say, energy, this spiral of movement that is just contagious, and is when you see the spark in each other's eyes. And I think that's such a beautiful part of the medicine. And I think often people, I actually witness, we were talking about this earlier, we could talk about it now, is I often witness, you know, relationships going, perhaps not continuing, because one of those people have found that spark and maybe the other person hasn't. And that happens often. And sometimes there's that humbleness and willingness to learn from the partner. Okay, what you found something treasure, like a treasure. Will you support me? It takes a lot of humbleness to do that. So more often than not, actually what I see is there's a separation.
Yes.
Because I feel like there's not that communication or that willingness and vulnerability to learn from one another. I mean, we're our greatest teachers. So yeah, I want to share that.
Yeah, I think that's so true and so right. Often still our relationships, even our most intimate ones, are based on competition or comparison. And I feel very often when I hear conversations between couples as well, there's the desire to be right. And when you truly love someone, being right doesn't matter anymore. What matters is to create a compassionate and a loving space together. And again, that we come back to this energy of humility and of really seeing and honoring the divine in the other. And I think that is something that has been lacking in relationships in the past, and that we're coming to. And it is the reason of a lot of separations today, is that people are just unwilling to really move forward together, or unwilling to accept that at certain steps of the journey your partner will be ahead of you always, and then at certain other parts of the journey you will be ahead of your partner. And that's what a healthy partnership is, that you pull each other forward and you lift each other up, and you learn from each other, and you're each other's greatest teachers. But there has to be a willingness to go into this kind of journey, and a commitment to this as well. And of course, we talked about this earlier as well, there has to also be the inner work has to be done before we can really start to focus on the relationship. As you said, we have to be, both the people in the relationship have to be committed to their path, but then there also has to be a commitment to learn what our inner feminine is, learn what our inner masculine is, and really have this sacred marriage within first as well. And learn that it's a game of balancing energies. Like, we're never 100%. We're always also moving.
Yeah.
Like, at one point the feminine will take the upper hand because we're in a very creative time, and we need the energy of the muse, and we're receptive and we're receiving so much inspiration. And at other times the masculine will take the upper hand because we're creating and we're putting into form and we're putting things out into this world. And we really need to have also a deep devotion to both of these energies, to also honor the presence of those in our partner.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And like that inner alignment is the foundation in everything. And I was just reflecting on this kind of equation of the our creation process really. And it's, an equal triangle, trinity of being in alignment, being receptive, receiving, and giving. So, and I think that receiving is the feminine and the giving is the masculine. And all of this happens in our inner worlds perfectly and harmonized when we're in alignment. And it also happens and manifests in our life when we're receiving abundance and offering our hearts to the world. And there's this beautiful dance and flow. And that comes when there's an alignment and when there's really an equal current of energy in both directions. And I love the image of the rose for me to explain this concept, because for me when I love this exercise, and I invite you all to try it out at home. Just to like imagine the rose descending down through your crown and then landing with the beautiful rose in your heart. And when she's there, you just allow that an alchemy, a really real alchemy of the vibrational frequency of the rose in your heart expanding and opening, and just being with that. And what happens when I do that, it's so powerful, is this alignment. Is this really powerful alignment. So the rose in herself is just alignment. And so when we call her into our vessel, she aligns us. And in that, through that alignment, we remember how precious we are, how beautiful we are, how powerful we are, what a powerful being we are. The rose has the capacity to really just awaken all of that within us. And then that's the top of the Trinity. And then there's the receiving, there's the flowers of the rose. There's this lush softness of receiving, and the softness, the feminine, I would say, in a very kind of summarized way. And then there's also the very healthy masculine, who I would say is actually can also be the rose itself, and then the stem and the thorns, and all of that coexist to make this perfect dance of life. And I'm bringing all this up. We're talking about inner alignment, but I'm also receiving a lot of inquiries recently about manifestation and about, like I heard if I just like relax into my parasympathetic nervous system and just relax all day, then things will just show up on my doorstep. And the truth is, I've experienced that. I really have experienced that. So there is magic to that extent. But there is a whole show of energies and energetics, past and present and future, that are happening to have created that moment of manifestation. But when we're talking about like daily manifestation, daily life, I really believe that part of us of dropping into our feminine is really just a process of shifting our signal. If we're a frequency, it's really just a process of like, okay, if I'm going to deepen into my divine feminine and deepen into self-care, self-love, moving slower, having more space to move my body, my Shakti energy, and just be in my creativity. When we give ourselves permission to that, we are shifting our signal and actually communicating with the universe. I am worthy. I am worthy. I deserve. I love me. And then guess who's going to respond with the same words? The universe and everything around you. You are worthy. We love you. Yes. So it's an inner frequency shift that's happening when we're dropping into our divine feminine and cultivating that. But then, okay, that's the signal shift. Now, when we go into daily life, there has to also be action.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a part of action, which is then the masculine of giving. And I'm not talking about a man, I'm talking about our inner masculine. It's like, okay, this current is like we're receiving this current, we're receiving the abundance of just really this full well that we've actually created ourselves from the cosmos. And plus receiving from perhaps sources outside of ourselves, love from friends, love from partner, abundance, money, gifts, whatever that is, all of that's flowing in. And simultaneously, in no order, there also is a giving. You know, there's this masculine part of ourselves that is in service.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, it's not just giving anything, it's giving in alignment. It's giving when it is a joy to give. It's giving when it's from our heart. This like very, very healthy masculine offering, you know? So both of those have to coexist from a place of our truth, from alignment, from our heart. And when all that happens, then we are really like moving. I'm thinking of physics a lot, of the electron, the proton, neutron. It's like all of that is really dancing together. We are that, you know, we are chemistry as well. So I feel when people have been asking, how do you manifest by being in our feminine? It's like, that's one step, you know, it's really about shifting the signal by honoring and doing the work to feel worthy and loved. And then from that signal shift, things will come so much easier because there's no blocks to receiving. Because often the universe wants to give you so much, but you're saying, I don't deserve it. And then it just turns around, you know? We're creating everything. So anyways, that's a whole spiel, but I'm so fascinated by this whole formula of manifestation right now and formula of dropping into our feminine. I actually want to share a story, but I'm going to give it to you. Remind me of the story because I feel like it's important to share.
I love that. And what it reminds me of, and it is, to me, it is totally connected to the rose and the Divine Mother, and the divine, just recognizing and realizing that we are vessels of the divine. But if we are not aligned to our source frequency, if we are not being who we decided to be, like the frequency that we decided to represent in this world, then we cannot receive the support of the divine. We cannot be this conduit of divine flow. We are out of flow. We are out of the river because we put ourselves out of the river. And there's the Indian saint Sri Kaleshwar who shared something very interesting about this, and it's always in the back of my mind. He said, we are all children of the divine, and the Divine Mother wants us to do well. She wants us to be fruitful and to be abundant and to be happy and to be joyful. But she gives birth to her creations. We are all her creations, and it is our responsibility to make sure that the Divine Mother can recognize us by being ourselves, by being the frequency that we set out to be. If we wander away too far from that frequency and we start being someone else, or we start imitating someone else, the Divine Mother can't recognize us anymore, and she can't bestow her blessings upon us anymore. So to me, that really echoes what you just said about the energy and the dynamics of manifestation. And it is, to me, it is all about the rose and the sword, the balance between the rose and the sword. We really have to integrate both the axis of alignments and our responsibility to hold that axis of alignment, and then we can open, we can blossom. So it's a mix. For me, the sword is also our capacity to be present and to make choices. Like that's one of the requirements I feel of every soulful, heartful, truthful relationship is a commitment to presence. Like, I'm present with you. I see you. I want to be here 100% with you. And so often in relationships, people just check out. And when you're absent, there's nothing you can give, and there's nothing you can receive either. The other person can be fully sharing their love and their gifts and their abundance, but you won't feel it and you won't receive it because you're out of your alignment. So you're out of the river. You can't receive the blessings of the river. So I feel that this is very important to hold that image of the stem of the rose and the flower of the rose, or the rose and the sword, that we need to hold these both, and that we need to be in full presence and in full generosity, like fully showing up, sharing our gifts abundantly without holding back. There's no holding back in the giving or in the receiving. We also receive the love and the blessings of the other and of life. But also, we show up for it. We're present. We clarify our signal constantly.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like it's so resonant with the message that I feel has like been honestly why I feel like what the rose is, what she speaks through me. It like when I narrow it down, one of the most important words is empowerment. And so to share what's coming through you, we have to feel confident to do that. We have to feel ready to shine and share. And I think that that's such an important message right now for our beautiful light workers out there who are really anchoring light onto this planet through their own source frequency, is shine and share. It's time to, and I think the rose, when she comes into our world, when we bring her into the heart, when we bring her into the body temple, she activates this empowerment. And through that, and I think you said it really beautifully at one of our other sessions, it's like she almost, like her frequency, like gives us permission. She gives us a sense of confidence. And right now that medicine is so important, because it's time that these yogis, these beautiful spiritual beings who've done so much epic inner work, are of the world, because we are of the world. We are living in this world. And it's time to not just be masterful within, because there's so much work that can be done by holding prayer, of course. But I feel for those who feel the call to be of the world, it's time to be masters in and of the world as well. And I think what is demanded of us is to show up with confidence, trust in ourselves that our message is important, that our message truly wants to be is being, people are waiting to receive that message right now, and it's almost like your service, it's your duty, the story you were saying before. It's like it's not only a request, it is your duty to show up in your highest service, in the gold that you are meant to offer up, to build these golden cities right now. Because when we don't take that next opening of the petal of the rose, when we don't take action, then the energy is blocked and we're not fully in our highest source frequency. And when we're not that, then the mother can't recognize us and call us home. So it's actually not even just that, is all ego, all the being afraid of whatever and playing small is mind, is ego. And so I really feel that Rose can, like, for me, as I was tuning into this earlier, it's like the word just keeps coming. It's like empowerment. Like for me, one of the greatest medicines the rose gave me, amongst a few others, but like really the one that stands up strong is empowerment. And like obviously from a very pure place, being empowered from a pure place, because it's just time. It's just time that all these beautiful beings, devotional, pure beings of the light that are here to truly shift collective consciousness together have a voice.
Right.
It's important, because up until now there has been a different consciousness directing what's going on, and it's time to shift that. It's really time. I mean, yeah, this can go into a whole other conversation about like what are the possible timelines. But if we don't show up, then one of the possible timelines is like distinction, or just continued horrible war and poverty and all these things that are very real things that are happening right now. So I think the urge to show up is not just a very polite request, it's actually demand.
Yes, we're doing a disservice to ourselves otherwise, and a disservice to the world and to the collective. And it requires courage. It reminds me that I've done these sacred chanting circles last year with a Rose sister, and we the name that came was Courageous Love, for those circles. But I've been journaling with courageous love, because to be a lover of life, of the divine, requires courage. To show up fully and to share yourself generously requires courage. To love in the face of adversity requires courage. Yeshua was often described as having the heart of a lion. And to me, the heart of the lion is a heart that is aflame with the desire to love beyond any obstacles. And it requires tremendous courage. So I also want to honor like, the people who are choosing that path of authenticity and of showing up. It does require courage, but the gifts are so many and plentiful, and it is a requirement today. We really need to do it. We need to show up. But I remember that you are going to share a story with us.
Forgot about that, but thank you. I think and then maybe remind me if it's in flow, the word trust. Maybe I'll just say that and jump into the story, but the word trust is so big in our personal journey, trusting ourselves, trusting our channel, trusting that what we feel in our heart has space in this world and is actually being like quietly summoned for you to step forward into whatever that niggle in your heart is that wants to express itself. It's time to just take action on that. No more waiting, no more being I don't want to say not complacent, but it's like tolerating things that aren't in full alignment. Yes, just all the love and inspiration and just to all of you, and bring a rose onto your altar, spend 15-20 minutes in silence praying, connecting to your heart and activating and opening up that courage frequency within you so that you can take bold actions that take you out of perhaps a life that is not fully in alignment and bring you into a life that is, because it's possible. I mean, I've done it. Anise has done it. So many of us have done it. And the other side of that is the most glorious life you can ever imagine. It's beyond words. And then on the topic of trust, tying it with relationship as well. I think one of the biggest things in relationship, in divine union, is this trust. And so when we are in deepest, it's like one of the number one pillars, when we are in deepest trust with our beloved, then we can be vulnerable, then we can be humble, there can be humility. But if there's no trust, of course there's like, we're afraid, because what if, but if there's just like this complete pouring out and knowing that that person only holds unconditional love for you, then that's much easier to do. So I think one of the first questions in relationship is like, is there trust? Trust is the foundation of it. It opens all doors, to everything else, to all the depths of it. So I don't know if you want to expand on that, or if I should transition into the story.
No, I think that's you've said the essence. I think trust, having a space of safety, of non-judgment, making the other feel that they will be received no matter what, is so important. And then we can do the same as well. But I'm really curious about your story. I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, like, is it appropriate right now? But I'm going to share it because I was reflecting about the manifestation formula. And I've had some, and I'm sure you have as well, and I'm sure people watching have as well, but some really wild manifestation moments. And one of them was, I'm going to share because it really, I actually had a big light bulb come on today as I was reflecting upon it. And we're talking about this dance of being in alignment, receiving and giving, receiving and giving, receiving and giving. And so in another life, I was working in the field of finance, and in parallel to that, I was running a nonprofit. And what we did was every weekend we connected with some other different cause and brought manpower to volunteer and to offer our services. And so we were on the downtown east side of Vancouver, giving out food very often. We were working at retirement homes, putting on shows. We were going to parks and cleaning. We were going to other nonprofits and helping out, serving Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner at different halfway homes, lots of things. And I was doing this every weekend, and I did it because somehow it was just like this wanting to give. I was definitely not fully fulfilled in my finance job, so there was this like wanting to be in a greater purpose and a greater service. So I just did that with all my time, with all myself. And then one day, I remember as part of that project, we decided to do a whole collective art project where we called in photographers to submit photos of Vancouver, what represented this town, and then we made out of all those images a collage of pictures on a tote bag, on a cotton tote bag, and it was really cute. And I'm like, okay, so maybe if we sell these bags, we can fund getting some help for what I was creating here, this like nonprofit social enterprise. And the bag was beautiful. We had a big party for it. There's 12 images on it. And one day I was like, okay, so what do I do now? I'm going to start selling these bags. You know, you can maybe make $1 off a bag. I'm like, you're going to have to sell a lot of bags to make anything work here. So one day I was in a grocery store with a friend. Sorry for the story, but it's really beautiful. I was in a grocery store with my friend, and I'm like, who owns this grocery store? I just need to talk to them and get them my bags into this store. You know, that's how I'll begin. And he's like, well, in fact, his name is Jim Pattison. He's one of the richest men in Canada. And he doesn't only own this chain of grocery stores, but he owns basically all the grocery stores in Canada. That's an exaggeration, but a lot of them. And I was like, so I just need to meet him. And he's like, yeah, good luck with that one. I'm like, okay. So I held it in my heart, held it in my mind. Later that afternoon, I was invited to, I was invited to join a breakfast the next morning with Al Gore. Random. I'm like, why would I ever do that? I wasn't interested in that, but I'm like, I will go. I will possibly go. That night I get home and I'm journaling and I just write manifestation, dozy business plan. That was the name of the bags and the social enterprise. Meet Jim Pattison. And so I was like, if I wake up at 5:30 a.m., which is what I would need to wake up to go to this Al Gore meeting tomorrow, I'll go. If I don't, I'm sleeping. I'm not meant to go. Next morning, I'm waking up just on time. I'm like, okay, meant to go. Start to drive. It's still dark. The moon is out. I think it's a full moon. And I arrive and to this breakfast. Al Gore is there. And the first thing Al Gore says is, I just want to say a very, very grateful thank you to one of my oldest friends, Jim Pattison. And he was there. And I looked over and I'm like, oh my God, I know why I'm here. Like there was not a doubt in my mind that that's why I was there. Not a doubt in my mind. And so after the breakfast, I approached him and I'm like, I told him about what we were doing. And I'm like, yeah, so basically, I'm wondering if you want to sell our bags in your store after telling him about our social enterprise. And he's like, do you have time? And I said, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Why? It's like, my office is across the street. Why don't you come? So I came over and I pitched him and his office staff on this thing and the deal was done. And we got our bags in all his stores.
Beautiful.
And it was such a crazy story. It was beautiful and it was such a fun project. And I was thinking about it today and I'm like, whoa, like how did that we've been giving and giving and giving and giving every weekend, you know, from our hearts, not thinking that we were going to get anything from it, just truly giving from a place of just like, we want to serve. And then it feels like all that accumulated for that manifestation. So yes, I could imagine it as it just dropped on my lap, but there was a lot of energy that was happening and a lot of giving to then receive such a big thing.
And a lot of alignment. I think that's such a beautiful story. And it feels really like there's some elements in there, you know, you did it from the heart and it served a higher purpose and a bigger purpose. So the divine stepped in and nothing is impossible when things are really heart-led and they're for a higher purpose and for the greater good. Then magic always happens and there are these magical happenings, and I think that's a beautiful example of it. That's
yeah,
really
thanks
beautiful.
for listening. I was
No,
like, does
thank
this
you for
fit in
sharing.
here? But I think it connects a little bit to the manifestation story and
Absolutely.
that understanding of what it requires, you know, to really, flow with life. But anyways, I'll hand it to you to close in whatever way you want. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for your sharing. Thank you for everyone who has been here. So the topic of love, we'll put this online as well. Some things that are in here to conclude, we need full presence, full generosity, full sharing, showing up and opening, being vulnerable, the balance of the inner masculine and feminine. When we want to have a meaningful relationship with someone, whether that's a friend or a family member or an intimate relationship, the courage to live from the heart and to lead from the heart. And I think your story really opens us to a future topic as well, on how to expand this energy of divine unity and divine love to all of life, how to become a lover of life and be in a love relationship with the divine and with the whole of reality, which is what the ancient mystics all experienced and all explained. They were in mystical union with the whole of life and the whole of reality. So nothing is beyond their grasp, really. And this is definitely something that I feel excited about delving into next time as well with you.
Likewise. Denise, thank you again so much for your wisdom. It's such an honor. It's so uplifting to have these chats. Honor
It
you
is. It's
so
very nourishing.
much. And thank you to everyone who chimed in. If you have any questions, you can connect with either of us on our Instagrams here, or if it's on YouTube, through our YouTubes. And we do our best to do this frequently. And yeah, hope to connect with some of you very soon. Thank you, Anise, and see you soon in Costa Rica.
See you soon, Bianca. And thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day or evening.